Data shows 9 out of 10 of these asylum claims are fraudulent. They cheated the system, first of all.
You're a racist and a liar.
Thank you for your question.
Yes, sir.
I want you to sleep safe in your bed tonight, knowing the men and women law enforcement are keeping you safe. Data shows 9 out of 10 of these asylum claims are fraudulent. They cheated the system, first of all.
You're a racist and a liar.
Thank you for your question.
Yes, sir.
I want you to sleep safe in your bed tonight, knowing the men and women law enforcement are keeping you safe. No, no. Hey, no. Let me stay. Hey, let him stand right there, and I'll answer his question. No, guys, let me answer his question, please. So, I appreciate the question. So let me tell you, I know things you don't know about this case. A secure border gives us strong national security. A gentleman a few minutes ago said I was lying. You know who was lying? The last administration, the border was secure. First of all, I worked for the greatest president in my lifetime, Donald Trump. And let me tell you why, for those naysayers. Let me tell you why. Because as of today, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation because of President Trump. Now, I read enough hit pieces on me. I actually enjoy them because I get tired, and every time I read a hit piece, it just pours gas in my fire. Because here's the facts. You want to compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration. I hear you guys are racist, you're inhumane, your policies are terrible. Okay, let's compare the policies. During the Biden administration, 10.5 million people came to our border. Most of them were released in the United States. He overwhelmed the Border Patrol. When you tell the whole world it's okay to enter a country illegally, it's a crime, but don't worry about it. Make a false claim to asylum, don't show up in court, don't worry about it, no one's looking for you. Joe Biden's administration says if you're in the country illegally, no one's looking for you unless you get convicted of a serious crime. Well, that's too late. Get convicted of a serious crime. So what happened when you invite the whole world across the border that overwhelmed the Border Patrol? Where on an average day, 70% of agents were pulled off the line to deal with the humanitarian crisis, which are required to do. A lot of these people are sick when they get here, and they got to deal with processing, transportation. 70% of agents pulled off the line because President Biden opened the border up. Not by accident, not by mismanagement, not by ignorance, by design. When you overwhelm the Border Patrol that much, what happens? When 70% of agents are off the line, what happens? 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across an open border because there wasn't enough law enforcement there to stop it. Sex trafficking of women and children, all-time high. Number of migrants that died, over 4,000, a record. Over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. Trump 45, 14 known suspected terrorists. Biden 4 years, 400. 2 million gotaways. Who are they? Why didn't they pay less to turn themselves in, get processed, get released within 24 hours, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get free health care, get 3 meals a day, and within 4 months get a work authorization? Why did 2 million people pay more to not take advantage of the giveaway program? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. We arrested over 400 people on terrorist watch lists at the border. How many of that 2 million came from a country sponsoring terror? The truth is, whether you like it or not, the facts say this. Record number of Americans died during that Biden administration, and a record number of aliens died in that administration. That's a stone cold fact based on data. President Trump says illegal immigration down 96% right now. 96% less people are coming. Studies have been done that women that make that journey 31% admitted to being raped by members of the cartel. 31% of women admitted it. So what is that number? So when President Trump has 96% less people coming, how many women aren't being raped? How many people aren't dying crossing that border? How many Americans aren't dying from a poison that comes across that border? You like it or love it, President Trump's saving thousands of lives every month. Stone cold fact. Now you can like him or love him. I don't care. Why do I think he's one of the greatest presidents of my lifetime? Because I'm a border guy. I saw in Trump 45 we had the most secure border ever. The Biden administration came in and unsecured it on purpose. The first president in the history of the nation who came into office and unsecured a border. That resulted in all this death. Resulted in a record number of non-suspected terrorists crossing the border. I can't believe any commander-in-chief would do that. And I'll say it again. It wasn't because of ignorance, stupidity, mismanagement. It was by design. They know what they're doing. Why do I say that? Joe Biden was vice president under Barack Obama. Secretary Mayorkas was the deputy secretary of Homeland Security under President Obama. We had a surge under Obama the first couple of years. How did we stop that surge? We built residential centers, detained them. We removed people that lost their case. The numbers tanked. Now that he's secretary, Biden's president, what did they do? The complete opposite. They didn't detain people, and they weren't removing people unless they're convicted of an aggravated felony. They did a complete opposite what they knew worked under the Obama administration. That's why it wasn't an accident. They saw some future political benefit in opening that border up. So the facts are right now, we have the most secure border, even beat Trump 35. Numbers are incredible. I was down on the border yesterday. From the time I was down there during the last administration, it's night and day. There was 12,000 a day sometimes crossing the border illegally. You know what it was yesterday? 106. I'll cross 2,000 miles of border. And those 106, not a single one were released in the United States. Second misconception or untruth, ICE operations. ICE is out there, regardless if you believe it or not. Every morning on the way to the White House, I look at 22 pages of data on what happened the last 24 hours. I can tell you it was as high as a 72, now it's about 64. 64% of everybody ICE arrests is a criminal. Now, what do I mean by criminal? I want to be totally transparent with you. It means they got a criminal conviction or they're pending criminal charges, which means they found them in the jail, which probably means they're not a choir boy. Over half, 64%. That's the truth. Well, I see a lot of media saying, well, they're arresting very few criminals, only 6%, because they want to spin the numbers. For instance, I had reporters tell me, well, they're only convicted of DUI. 12,000 people a year die from DUI. That's a crime. That's a public safety threat. That's a criminal. I read a media piece the other day that says, shocking, only 1% of ICE arrests are convicted of murder. Really? That's the new level now of who we can look for? No. ICE is doing a good job. And look, as far as the masks, I don't like them either. I don't like them. I wish they didn't have to wear them. But I know for a fact, threats on their lives are up over 8,000%. We're in a world, some part of this country, where the cops, all of a sudden, they're the bad guys, the one that broke the law, the victims. No. Man, I was an ICE agent. I was a Border Patrol agent. I've done this job since 1984. And you can like me or love me, but you always gonna get the truth from me. And I particularly don't give a shit what people think of me. Now, why do I say that? People say that's kind of arrogant to say. I'm the only one in this room who stood in the back of a tractor trailer with 19 dead people who not only suffocated to death, they baked to death. I was in Dallas doing a speech. I get a message saying there's a tragedy in Victoria, Texas. We need you to go down there and run it. At the time, I was assigned to headquarters, D.C. But the director at the time, John Morton, I spent most of my career in trafficking cases and smuggling cases. I went down, I took an air marine flight. I landed at the base. They flew me in a helicopter to the scene. I walked up to the crime scene, and the sheriff and the Texas Ranger walked me up to it and basically said, all yours. I walked to the tractor trailer. There's 3 or 4 bodies laying on the ground. The doors opened up. Because when the doors finally opened up, people were lined up against the doors dead. So when they rushed out of the tractor trailer, some bodies fell out. So that's the first thing I noticed. Then as I stand, look in the back of the tractor trailer, I see all these dead people, including a 5-year-old little boy who was the first to die, the first to bake to death. I got up in that tractor trailer, and when the crime scene photographer got there, I did something the law enforcement in this room would tell you I shouldn't have done. I didn't take the pictures the way we're supposed to take pictures in quadrants. I could not face the child, because at the time I had a 5-year-old child. He ended up being 5 years old. And you know what? As God, my witness, he was wearing the same underwear my son wore, Batman underwear. It hit me. As tough as I think I am, it broke me. So I took pictures all around and saved the 5-year-old last. And as I said in my congressional testimony, the racist, bad Tom Homan got on his knees, I put my hand on that young child and said a prayer for him. Because I know, based on the decades of investigations I've done, what a terrible, terrible way to die. And through the investigation, when we talked to the surviving, they said that little boy begged his dad, don't let me die. I want to see mom again. Daddy, don't let me die. And his dad couldn't help him because he was locked in a steel box. Black, no air. Coroner says over 107 degrees. They suffered a terrible death. I was in town for 2 weeks. We put 14 people in prison. I hope they just spend the rest of their lives in prison. Where did I go from there? As soon as that investigation's done, they sent me to Phoenix, Arizona, Operation Ice Storm. I was there for a year and a half. Criminal cartels were ripping each other off. Cartels used to rip dope off from each other, right? But there's such a big spike in alien smuggling. They have a load house. One smuggling organization have a load house. They've had 60 or 70 people in there waiting for payment. They'll send them on their way. Other criminal cartels are doing strong arm robberies, ripping these people off and taking them to their load house because there was a lot of money, almost like drugs. So when I got to Phoenix, bodies were piling up. Cartels were shooting each other. They were shooting the alien. If the alien couldn't pay their smuggling fee, they call their relative up, then put them on the cell phone and listen to their brother, their son, or their mother get beaten to death. That happened. That is a fact. One operation, a lady called us, said they're killing my brother because I can't afford to pay the fees. We agreed to $5,000 and the cartel called, no, now it's 10, you pay it, we'll kill him. And they were killing him. Quite a few were like I say, were beaten to death, tortured. Luckily, this woman was brave enough to give us a cell phone number. And we actually did our law enforcement thing. We located that cell phone, and we found that man in a closet. He was duct taped, his hands and feet behind his neck, behind his back. His entire head was duct taped, and there's a hole poked in the mouth with a straw. That's how he breathed for days. Criminal cartels are animals. Through my years, I've talked to young women as young as 9. I've got on my knees to talk to a 9-year-old little girl. Who was raped multiple times by members of the cartel. That little girl, look into her, I've been a cop a long time. I remember this little girl, when you look in her eyes, there's nothing there. Everything innocent and pure has been stolen from her. Her life will never be the same. So everybody says, why do you get pissed off on TV? Why you get pissed off, member of Congress? Why you take this thing so seriously? Wear my shoes for 34 years, see what I see, and you'd understand why a secure border matters. Secure borders saves lives. Do we arrest? So we talk, I said 64%, so where are the other 36%? Who are they that ICE is arresting? Some are terrorists, national security threats that don't have criminal history because their whole deal is to lay low until they do their dirty deed. Many of them are fugitives, final order cases. They've had their due process at great taxpayer expense. They were ordered removed by a federal judge, and they didn't leave. You're damn right we're looking for them. The message we cannot send to the whole world, cross the border illegally, it's a crime, but don't worry about it. Show up in court or don't show up in court, get order removal, don't worry about it, no one's looking for you. If that's the message we send the whole world, people, the most vulnerable in the world, are still going to put themselves in harm's way, give their life savings to the criminal cartels, and put themselves at risk. You're never going to fix the problem unless there's consequences. That's why they're arresting the fugitives. Now, have they arrested non-criminals, non-fugitives, non-terrorists? Yes, they have. Where does most of that happen? In sanctuary cities. Why? Because they don't let ICE in the jail to arrest a criminal alien. They release them back in the street. That forces ICE into the neighborhood. And when they find a bad guy, they're usually with others. Others, they may not be an illegal alien public safety threat, they're in the country illegally. And we're not turning a blind eye to that. Not like the last administration. We are not sending a message to the whole world, it's okay to enter illegally. It's okay to cheat the system, put yourself in front of the line of millions of people who are doing things the right way, taking their tests, doing their physicals, doing their background investigations. Millions of people are standing in line to be part of the greatest nation on earth the right way. And I don't care what you think, when you cross the border illegally, you're a cheater, you're putting yourself in front of the line ahead of people that want to do things the right way. For those people, I know a lot of people say, Homan's the architect of family separation. Why was that done? Why do we prosecute people coming across the border? Because of what I just told you. When that happened during Trump 45, bodies are piling up. Women are being raped at record numbers. People are dying. So we thought, maybe if we prosecute them, they'll stop coming. Less women get raped, less people die. And you know what? In 2 weeks, numbers dropped over 25%. They got the message. Unfortunately, when you prosecute an adult, the child can't go to jail with them. So yeah, there's child was put in CPS, parents were put in U.S. Marshals custody, so there was separation. And it's unfortunate. It's sad. As a cop, I did it in New York. Every time I did it in New York, I moved the parent for domestic violence, or they're in a car with a child with a DUI. We call it CPS. I mean, it's sad. I'm a father myself. People think I don't have a heart. Screw you. I've shed many a tear. I love children. I've spent many. This job isn't easy. Immigration enforcement has always been controversial, it's always been emotional. But it doesn't mean you don't do it. Because a secure border means you got stronger national security. We got to know who's coming. What are they bringing? Where are they from? Why are they here? A secure border means you have stronger national security. I just told you, when 70% of the agents off the line, for instance, El Paso, let's talk about El Paso during that administration. There was days in El Paso, and I was here. Not one Border Patrol agent was on the line for days because they're so busy dealing with the overcrowding. What do you think the criminal cartels and warriors did those days, knowing there's not a single badge or gun on that border? Nothing between them and the city of El Paso. Nothing between them and anywhere in the country they wanted to go, because there was no enforcement. Every green uniform was off the line. I was here. I saw it. I talked to Chief Patrol agents. Chief Patrol agents told me, now they're the Biden administration, they're afraid to speak up, but Chief Patrol agents across the country, at least 4 of them, told me that we had lost operational control of the border. One Border Patrol chief says it's overwhelming. I can't control what's coming across. That's where we were. Now we're not. And for people to say, you know, I'm a racist, I got no heart, you don't know me. You don't think this stuff keeps me up at night? That incident with the 19 kids in the back of the tractor trailer, I'm not afraid to admit it. I had to go get help after the investigation was over. I couldn't sleep. I kept imaging what that 5-year-old went through. It couldn't leave my mind. When I talked to a 9-year-old girl that's raped multiple times, that broke me. I'm not a racist. I have a heart. And the best thing you can do for the safety of this country and to save lives is secure the border. And finally, for those who want to compare the two administrations, Homan, the architect of family separation, I just told you why it was done. It wasn't done to punish. It was done in an attempt to save lives and stop sexual assaults and maybe control the border. 2,500 separations.
You are a racist. You
Thank
are
you.
destroying the Constitution.
That's good. So let's talk about one more example of what the Trump administration did compared to the Biden administration. Under the Biden administration, nearly 500,000 children were separated from their families and put in the hands of criminal cartels and smuggled to the United States. God knows what happened to some of those children during that journey. 500,000. And they lost track of 300,000 of them. Weren't even looking for them. President Trump has already found almost 40,000 of those children. 40,000 children that the last administration wasn't even looking for. Some of these children were safe with families, but some were deep in sex trafficking, being sold every day for sex. Children! Some were in forced labor. That's what the Trump administration is doing. So that's the three pillars. Now, let me, before I go to questions, let me end with this. I was a Border Patrol agent. I wore the uniform. I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that actually came up through the ranks. I came out of retirement twice for this president because I knew what the danger of the border is. I don't want any Border Patrol agent standing back with a tractor trailer with people that bake to death. I don't want no Border Patrol agent to talk to a 9-year-old little girl. I don't want no Border Patrol agent to have to listen to a wire where they're stabbing an alien in the face so his sister can listen to him because he can't pay the smuggling fees. I don't want to see anybody go through that. And let me tell you something else. Every night I go to bed, I pray for the safety and security of every Border Patrol agent, ICE agent, and I pray for everybody that we're looking for. I don't want anybody hurt. I don't want anybody to die. That includes officers and that includes aliens. And that's a stone cold fact. Call me what you want. I don't care. You know? Then, you know, say, look, I want to take questions. I'll take questions in a little bit, but why don't you go a backbone, put a Kevlar vest and a gun on your hip and go secure this border. So with that, I guess we're going to take questions, sir. I guess we're going to take questions with the guy in the microphone.
Cool. So we're going to have students come forward. That's going to be priority. We're going to have a few students open us up, and then disagreeing questions, please move to the front.
Hi there, Mr. Homan. I want to start off by thanking you for your service and everything you do to keep our country safe. that being said, given your experience leading ICE, what do you think is the most misunderstood aspect of immigration enforcement today, and how can students, like ourselves, help correct that narrative?
I want people to remember that every ICE agent, Border Patrol agent, ICE agents and Border Patrol agents, they're moms and dads too. They don't hang their heart on the hook when they go to work. They're trying to make this country safe again. So I'm sick and tired of comparing them to Nazis and racists and this other bullshit. These men and women don't make a lot of money, and they stand on the front lines every day for this country. And I'll remind you, they have children too. Their husbands and wives too. Their sons and daughters too. You don't know them. I know one thing. They're out there protecting people they don't know and will never meet, but they keep on doing it. So God bless the men and women of ICE and the Border Patrol.
Thank you.
Hi there, Mr. Homan.
Hi.
As a mother myself, the story that you shared, especially about the 9-year-old girl and the 5-year-old little boy, just really hit me. And I wanted to know, you shared the story, especially of seeing that little 5-year-old boy that resembled your son. How do you process these graphic tragedies and deal with the heaviness on a personal level that your job may bring?
On that incident, I went and I saw help. A couple things in my career. The reason I'm so passionate about this is because of what I've seen. Not because I read in the book, not because people told me, because I've done it. I've been there. I've seen it. And that's what makes me so passionate about this. I don't want to see anybody die that way. Throughout my career, I buried Border Patrol agents, I buried ICE agents. One of the worst things in my career I had to do is hand a folded flag to a child. I mean, come on, you can hate me all you want. Again, I don't care. But there are still nights I can't sleep. I didn't live with my wife for months because of death threats. We had her hidden someplace else. Because the threats were so intense against me, I didn't want her around me. So she sacrifices. Thank you. It's necessary. You see the guys around with suits on? That's my security detail. These guys aren't with their families either. They were traveling with me to step in front of me if a bullet flies. So rather than call names in the memory of Charlie Kirk, who I loved, let's have a conversation. To just scream and leave and call somebody a name, they're a coward.
Thank you, Mr. Homan, and thank you to your family and your team as well.
Thank you. I want to hear diverse opinions. Let's talk about it. Sir.
Hi. So, I'm pretty Democrat. I feel like it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I feel like
Let him speak, please.
I feel like in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm in like a lion's den or something. This feels.
Look.
But
I talk to anybody. I mean,
so
people are amazed that I'll go on MSNBC and CNN and talk to them.
Sure.
But I'll tell anybody what I know,
yeah.
And they can make their own judgments. But go ahead.
No, I've seen a lot of your interviews and stuff, and you strike me as a very principled man, which is nice. It's I guess obviously. I guess the contentious point between what you do and what your administration does, the seemingly cruelty of ICE agents when they do what they do, and as you said in interviews, collateral.
Sir, if I could, when you say cruelty, what exactly do you mean? What do you see that you think is cruel?
Like I don't know all my facts, okay, but I believe. I believe a couple dozen students from UTEP got deported. I don't know the exact number, but I know.
Were they in the country illegally?
I'm sorry?
Were they in the country illegally?
So that's kind of where my question lies, is you are a very principled man, but I've seen you say in interviews that, like, I mean, your priority right now is to get criminals, but you really do eventually just want to get anybody that's in this country illegally out. Is that fair? Okay.
What I said in interviews, and I'm honest about it, what I say in interviews, the priority is public safety threats and national security threats. That's called priority. Doesn't mean you forget about everybody else.
Right. I guess.
But here's my message. If you're in the country illegally, is that okay? No, I'm asking you. We're having a conversation. Do you think entering the country illegally is okay?
I think jaywalking is a crime. You know what I mean? I think.
But do you think entering the country illegally is wrong?
I agree. I agree that, I mean, and that's why I say it's refreshing to have somebody who truly is just here to uphold the law, which is refreshing.
Well, let me tell you. First of all, it's not okay to enter the country illegally. It's a crime, and like I said, there's millions of people standing in line doing things the right way. You know, I was in New York a few months ago, and I got a cab from the hotel over to the studio, and the driver, it's a true story, driver was from an African nation. He recognized me. He said, sir, and this was just before, it was more than a couple months ago, it was, Biden administration was still in power, but I think the election already occurred, so it's been 8-9 months. Anyways, the conversation was, hey, I recognize you, can we talk? I said, sure. He goes, he was from an African nation. He goes, I came over as a student, on a student visa, then I became a resident alien, then I became a U.S. citizen. And I've been working 3 years to bring my wife and kids here. But every day I look on TV and these families are coming across and being released, flown to New York City, put in a hotel room. And many days I wonder, why don't I do that? Because I want my wife and children here. But because I became a U.S. citizen, I respect and love this country, and do things the right way. What I told him was, well, get your friends together and protest Congress because the system needs to be fixed. But that's not ICE's fault. So being in the country illegally is just not okay. I mean, you know, if that's the message we send, sir,
and I think
you're never going to fix the problem.
No, and I think a lot of the fear on my side of things is the fear of, to put it in a headline, is the villainization of poor Hispanic people. And I think that there's a lot of ground to cover between. And it's not like there needs to be excuse. Anyway, my question. I just want to. My question is.
I appreciate it.
Just as a first step, is there anything that you can say to me right now that can ensure me that your administration or ICE or anybody is doing things to lower the number, let's say, of collateral arrests?
No. Well, the reason I say it, let me tell you this. I say no the way, sir, I say no the way the system is right now. You know how we can get less collateral arrests? Let me in the jail. If the sanctuary cities will let us in the jail, more officers in the jail means less people on the street. Less people on the street means less collateral. So let me have the criminal alien and safety and security of the jail where it's safer for the alien, it's safer for the officer, and certainly safer for the community. So fight to end sanctuary cities, and you see those collaterals decrease because we are prioritizing public safety threats. But I'll say it again. If you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. But I appreciate the question. Thank you for coming up. I know you took some heat, but thank you.
Right, good evening, Mr. Homan. My name is Antonio, nickname AJ. I'm naturally conservative myself, and I debate with my Democrat family members a lot. But all I wanted to ask is, I defend ICE as much as I can, but it gets a little difficult for me when I see Houston agents beating down on a 16-year-old, someone my age, and them just beating down on people who sometimes just willingly come down. Not to say that that's all ICE agents.
Did you say beating down?
I did see one video. I don't know if it was just ICE or some other law enforcement agency, but there was one video coming from Houston when a 16-year-old boy was on the ground and some law enforcement agency was just beating him into the ground. And I think that's wrong, and I just want to ask,
Look, if ICE officers step out of line not following policies, they need to be dealt with. I don't support anybody being beaten. You know, if they're resisting arrest, there's a certain amount of control you got to use to make that arrest. Well, if you're truly saying that a defensive guy's laying down while you're being beaten, that's not right. Send me the video.
How do you hold ICE agents accountable?
Pardon me?
How do you hold ICE agents accountable?
I didn't.
How do you hold ICE agents accountable?
yeah.
I can tell you, you know, we have a very strong Office of Personal Responsibility. One of the things I did as ICE director, I fired several people. Again, don't enjoy, you know, sending someone home with no job to wife and kids, but I've done it.
Stop lying.
Okay. Look, if anybody, if the guy says I'm lying, step up the microphone, let's have a conversation, and I'll show you I'm not lying. I'll show you you're an idiot. Go ahead.
Because of you, my son right now is in class in Artesia, class 1289, ready to graduate January 27th because of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, Mr. Homan, just because my school is starting a Turning Point chapter, I was just wondering if we were to invite you, would you be willing to come back to El Paso?
I'm traveling around the country. If I can do it, I love El Paso.
Hello, I'm from Houston, and honestly, I'm concerned about how you are going to hold ICE agents accountable. I'm concerned about the racial profiling that's happening between American citizens who look Hispanic or look Mexican and they're being detained. I understand that you aren't arresting American citizens, but you are detaining them, and I think the manners that I've seen of American citizens being detained is very harsh. You know, it's scary. And I want to know if you will expand, if you have any comments or any responses as to how you will prevent this in the future, because I don't want anybody who looks brown to be targeted harshly.
Okay. Thank you for the question. So let me say this. ICE has arrested people from 163 different countries. Europe, Asia, Central America, Africa. So it's not all black and brown people. It's just ridiculous, first of all. They've arrested a lot of people from all over the world. Second of all, the Supreme Court decision, the media says, oh, Supreme Court just okayed, you know, racial profiling. No, they didn't. The rules for ICE engagement are this. You can detain briefly and question somebody on reasonable suspicion. During that brief detention and questioning, if you gather probable cause, then you can make an arrest and take away. So what the Supreme Court said was, what ICE was doing, the Border Patrol was doing, was gathering reasonable suspicion. It's not probable, and people said, well, you need probable cause to stop somebody. No, you don't. You need reasonable suspicion. It's in law. So that was the study. But I'm going to say it again. If an ICE agent, Border Patrol agent, are outside policy, we want to know about it. We'll hold them accountable. And you know, and look, have U.S. citizens? I think I'm not out in the field. I'm not out in these operations. I sit in the West Wing, so I'm not out there. I haven't been out there in quite a few months. I was on the border yesterday, which was nice getting out of the D.C. for a bit. Have U.S. citizens been detained? If they were, it's because there is some reasonable suspicion why they're being talked. That's what I'm hoping happened, that they've got a reasonable suspicion as soon as they found a U.S. citizen. But remember, U.S. citizens are stopped at the port of entry every day. I mean, U.S. citizens are detained by law enforcement across this country every day, especially in the vicinity of an operation to make sure who know who they are. We do a warrant on a house, and we arrest a bad guy. Guess what? Everybody in the house that's there, regardless of not the target operation, they get detained and questioned too to make sure we know who they are. So I get your point, but I'll say it again. If there's an ICE agent acting outside of policy, then he needs to be held accountable. So people need to call in with your complaints. I mean, I'm hoping 100% of them are doing exactly what they should be doing or trained to do.
I think
Hello, I'm Christopher,
Hey, Chris.
and I'm here studying STEM at UTEP, and I had a question regarding your closing the borders, right? You say by closing the borders that we are avoiding rape and death, correct?
Yeah.
So, don't you think by closing the borders, we're not avoiding
Securing the
death?
border.
Securing the borders,
You want to come to the greatest nation on earth? Come through a port of entry.
right? So by securing the borders to avoid death and rape, are we not just keeping death and rape outside of America and prolonging it to Mexico or to other countries?
The bottom line is, my goal is to protect this country. And bottom line is, I say it again, a secure border gives us strong national security. A gentleman a few minutes ago said I was lying. You know who was lying? The last administration, the border was secure. I mean, 10.5 million people came to the border, most of them released in the United States. And you know, folks, why they weren't detained? You know what the law says, sir? The law says if you enter the country illegally without proper documentation, you shall be detained. That's what federal statute says. Not maybe, not think about it, not send them on a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, put them in a hotel room. But you know why they ignored the law and didn't detain them? I'll tell you why. Because if they're put in a nice detention bed, they get a hearing between 35 and 40 days. 90% lose their case, they get sent home. That's not what they wanted. Release them on the non-detained docket. Their hearing takes 5, 6, 7 years, and by then they're hoping for another administration to award amnesty to millions of people. They saw a future political benefit and opened that border. And I looked at numbers today. Why is detention necessary? I looked at the numbers today. Executive Office of Immigration Review, immigration judges have issued just over 500,000 deportation orders. Over 320,000 of them were in absentia because the people didn't show up in court. That's why when you detain people, if you have an asylum claim and you're really escaping fear and persecution and death from your home country, you shouldn't have a problem sitting in a facility for 40 days to see a judge and plead your case. Matter of fact, during the Obama administration, when I was at ICE, we had a surge. We built a family residential center. We held the families in an open-air campus, not a jail, no constitutional. We held them. It took about 40 days to see a judge. You know what happened? 90% end up with the order removal because they simply didn't qualify for asylum. We sent them home, and guess what happened? The numbers tanked. So if you're really escaping fear and persecution, you shouldn't have a problem staying in one of our facilities for 40 days and pleading your case. And here's what no one's telling you. Well, these are all asylum seekers. Millions of asylum seekers. They had the right to claim asylum. But here's what the data says. And this is immigration court data. 86.7% of people who claim asylum at our southern border, and this is 10 years of data, 86.7% of people who come to our border and make an asylum claim end up with an order removal because they don't qualify for asylum. They're not escaping fear and persecution from the homeland, but the cartels know there's a loophole there. You say a few key words in the first interview at the border, the threshold is very low for asylum because we certainly don't want somebody back to be persecuted. But when you get to immigration court, that threshold is much higher. And 90% lose. So when people say, well, they're asylum seekers, I guess technically, but 9 out of 10 ain't asylum. They played the game. They made a false asylum claim. And here's my problem with that. Because when they did that, they overwhelmed the border patrol, most of them off the line, and that's when a fentanyl came across to kill Americans. That's when a mass migration came that killed over 4,000 aliens. That's when no inspected terrorists crossed the border, and that's when sex trafficking increased 600%. That's my problem with people claiming a false asylum claim. And let's not forget, there are hundreds of thousands of people in the world that really are escaping fear and persecution in their homeland, and they're sitting in the back seat because of people making false asylum claims. So people can call them asylum seekers all the way. Look at the data, look at the truth. Stop reading the newspapers, go to ice.gov, look at the data. Go to cbp.gov and look at the data. Go to EOIR, Department of Justice and Immigration Court, look at the data. The data says a hell of a lot different things than the media says.
Thank you, first of all, for coming all the way to our great state and talking to us. As a multi-generation Texan, my family fought for the independence of this republic and has lived here since we joined the Union. And I lived in the southern border in South Texas. I've seen firsthand the consequences of federal inaction at our border. Under Article 1, Section 10 of our Constitution, it says states can defend themselves when they're actually being invaded. In your expert view, does Texas meet this criteria according to our Constitution? And if so, if Washington won't enforce the law, can a state defend itself and its border?
We don't have that problem anymore because the greatest president of my lifetime sitting in the Oval Office. There's no need for states to take that action right now. I'm telling you, the numbers are historic lows. Historic lows. So, sex trafficking plummeted. Drugs plummeted. No inspected terrorists plummeted because we're securing the border. And I just met, there's an angel mom in the audience, I'm not going to name Lori, I just met backstage, who buried her son because of drugs that come across that border. God bless Lori. I've met hundreds of angel moms. For the people in the room who hate me, talk to an angel mom and dad. Put yourself in their shoes. You want to talk about family separation? They bury their children. I've met hundreds of them. This isn't, illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. People think, I got family, not everybody, relatives agree. Well, it's just a guy looking for a better life. But you don't understand. There's a whole ugly underbelly of illegal immigration. What happens to these people on that trip? Criminal cartels make billions of dollars. What does that do? That funds weapons and more drugs. That funds violence. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. I'll say it again. The system needs to be fixed. Congress needs to get off their butt and do something.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm a student, master's student candidate here at UTEP, and I want to first thank the university for exhibiting like no other time that we're all for free speech here, because you've been very respectful to the people that didn't say that weren't going for you, and these people for the most part have been very respectful, and so I'm glad that free speech is the pinnacle.
What's your major?
Here's my question.
What are you majoring in?
I'm a communication major, sir.
Okay.
Here's my question for you. So, first of all, I know that you said you're a cop and you call yourself proudly a cop, and that's fantastic. We have police officers here that work every day to put criminals in jail, to put them in incarceration, to get them out of here, all that stuff that we all seem to be in agreements for. And I know that it's tough when you see criminals be put in jail and then get let out. So my question is, the administration that you represent and that everybody here seems to be fighting for, just last week, and you can look this up, let out who is known as one of the biggest cocaine dealers in the world and pardoned him. Now my question to you is, how frustrating is it for all you guys that didn't get $50,000 bonuses, that this guy's going back to jail? How frustrating is it for you, sir, that this guy's out? And would you arrest him if he committed another crime? I'd like to answer my question.
No, I'll answer.
Jeez, you guys are chicken, man.
Who?
Can you answer my question?
No, no. Hey, no,
My
let
free
me
speech is equal to yours.
stay.
So I get my
Let him stand
question.
right there, and I'll answer his question.
Not equal to yours.
No, guys, let me answer his question,
You don't
please.
answer my question, jerk. Thank you very much.
So, I appreciate the question. So let me tell you, I know things you don't know about this case that I can't discuss here. I can tell you there's an overall good because more is going to happen. I just, trust me, there's a lot of reasoning behind these decisions, and I wish I could share them with you, but I can't. So, that's...
Will you arrest him again if he does something else?
You violate the law, yeah.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Thank you for your kindness for showing me that. Not you.
Hi.
Hi.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for being here tonight. So my question is, what will you and the president do about the Muslim community? I'm concerned about cities like Dearborn and here in Texas, Epic City, and this includes illegal Muslims, migrants, and asylum seekers as well.
We're going to enforce the law. If they're in a country legal, they're going to be deported. And watch what happens in the near future.
Lastly, I'd like to tell you that I will be covering you in prayer every single day, and God bless you and God bless America.
Well, thank you for the question.
Trump is a convicted felon and a rapist. It's important to respect the law, and when law enforcement violates the constitutional rights of Hispanics or Americans, they are criminals themselves. This is a fact. And Patrick Crusius, your everyday conservative, drove hundreds of miles to our city based off of your beliefs that Hispanics are replacing the white race, and we need to protect white people, and we need to deter Hispanics from coming into the country.
Well, first of all, that's a false statement. I never said any such thing. First of all, I never said any such thing. You're lying. So go ahead.
It's really important for you to know that he worships you, Patrick Crusius. He's your hero.
I've never said Hispanics are replacing Americans. Never said that. That was a false statement, just so you know.
The Great Replacement is now a mainstream conservative narrative. It's been fully integrated into mainstream conservative.
What I said was, sir, let's be honest here. What I said was the open border wasn't an accident. It wasn't mismanagement. It was by design. They saw a future political benefit on letting millions of illegal aliens in the country run into sanctuary cities. What does that mean? Because when Joe Biden ended all the policy that Trump had 25, what did he also do? He ended the Trump census rule, which means illegal aliens, millions of illegal aliens in sanctuary cities get counted in the next census. What does that mean? It means more seats in the House for the Democrats. I think they sold this country off for future political power. I didn't say anything about replacement things. Why? Let me ask you a question. Let's have a conversation. I respect you coming up to the microphone. For what reason will the Biden administration open that border up?
The Biden administration, to answer your question, he was respecting the asylum laws and immigration laws that existed. It's really important to enforce our immigration laws, and do you think you're doing that by ignoring them and producing arbitrary reasons to work around them?
First of all, I don't know if you heard earlier, the asylum process, data shows 9 out of 10 of the asylum claims are fraudulent. They cheated the system, first of all.
You're a racist and a liar.
Thank you for your question.
Yes, sir.
I want you to sleep safe in your bed tonight, knowing the men and women law enforcement are keeping you safe.
Yeah, hello, my name is, I don't want to say my name, but it's a city in France.
All right.
So, my question is to you, it's not really about politics, but, how does one person who is not into politics get into federal politics? Let's say, for example, he wants to work at the highest level of commerce or finance in, a government position, because I'm just about to secure a software engineering internship summer at Meta next 2026 of summer.
You want to go in politics or just federal law enforcement or politics?
Let's a position at somewhere like the White House.
What's your major?
Computer science and math and statistics.
I think you should be a nice special agent. We could use you.
try to work something like commerce or finance at the
Okay,
White
so
House.
let me say this. I was just talking to a young man earlier whose father was a brave Border Patrol agent who died in line of duty. He's looking for an internship at the White House. Internships, Jackie, just opened up, right? Go whitehouse.gov, is that on it? Go to whitehouse.gov. Internships are opening right now. Put your name in there. And go up do an internship and learn how the government works. I think it'll benefit you greatly. And in your degree, you're not going to have trouble finding a job with that degree. We need people like you.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. My question is, you spoke about the illegals who enter the country and are unfortunately passing away in the desert. How can we increase the safety for those individuals while also maintaining immigration law and enforcing that?
Secure the border. Let people make that journey. If people know they're really not an asylum seeker, they're not willing to give their life savings to a criminal cartel not to be released in the United States, because we're not releasing anybody. So that alone is saving thousands of lives.